And so I looked down and I'm like, are you serious? So I tried to play it off and I'm like, oh. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is actually going to be a story time. Now this story time actually happened to me, I want to say over Christmas, like around that time, not even Christmas break, like right before Christmas break. And I was actually teaching, so this is going to be my embarrassing teaching experience. I'm sure if you taught before or had to do anything dealing with kids, I mean, there are going to be times where something embarrassing is going to come up, but this was definitely embarrassing. And then I also had another one that I'll just mention towards the end that happened to me when I was teaching at the elementary school that I previously taught at as well. Okay, so last year for a couple months, I was actually a high school English teacher at a Christian school, and so I had 8th through 12th grade, and I would teach them basically English. I also had a psychology class I had to teach, as well as a career development class. I'm going to go more into it in my teaching experience, first year teaching video, and but for now I'm just going to mention like exactly what happened with the embarrassing story. So at the Christian school, what they would do is every Friday they would have chapel, and during chapel they would have people talking, or they would also have like videos playing and things like that. So at one chapel they were talking about, you know, how God created the earth and things like that. And so there was another teacher who usually would sit next to me, and she had actually said, oh, you know, there was this guy, she mentioned it to me while it was going on, that there was this guy on YouTube who had actually created this entire like hour-and-a-half video talking about how the world began, and it started like from one little thing all the way into, you know, just how God created it. And she was just like, it was so interesting to know about it because he did it like from a biological perspective, so like a scientific way. And so she was just like, it's so interesting, and you know, you have to watch it. And so I was like, oh well, you know, send me the link or whatever, or show me what it is. So she showed it to me, and what I did was with my phone I actually took a screenshot of her her phone so that I could actually remember exactly what it was on the YouTube thing. So she actually showed how it was on YouTube. I just took a screenshot of it, and I remember after taking the screenshot I told her, I was like, oh, I have to show my students because it would be interesting for them to see, and then maybe like later on they could write a paper on it or something like that. And she was like, yeah, you know, that's a great idea. So a few weeks later I had actually ended up having to go, I believe it was like randomly, I had to go to the doctor's with my son or something like that, or maybe it was my daughter, because they've been getting sick this past year a lot. But basically I just remember I had to set up a lesson plan, and I was just like, this is so last minute. The lesson plan I had planned, I knew that the substitute would not be able to understand it or even be able to do it, you know, like it's something that I needed to actually teach them. So what I did was, instead I was just like, oh, I remember the video, and I went on to the screenshot that I had, and I simply wrote, I believe the guy's name was Sean Bell, I think it was, and it was like how creation or Sean Bell or something like that. So I wrote, have students watch Sean Bell creation video and take notes, because afterwards the next day we're going to be discussing it, and then I'll have them, you know, write a small paper on it. So that was for 5 classes. So it was for 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. Actually, I believe it wasn't 8th. I didn't have 8th watch it. I think it was just for the high schoolers. I didn't have 8th watch it. So, and thankfully I did not have them watch it. So I actually wasn't gone for the whole day. I was gone for half of the beginning of the day. So I was gone for 12th, 10th, and then I still had 11th and 9th. So what happened was I was gone, obviously the substitute was going by exactly what I had left her to do, and then when I came back I still had 11th, and I didn't have 8th that day. I forgot why I didn't have them, but they weren't, either they weren't watching that video and I had something else planned for them, or there was some type of field trip or something, but they didn't have to, for some reason it didn't happen with them. But basically when I came back I still had to do my classes for 11th and for 9th grade. So when the 11th graders came in, I was like, okay, so I'll just do this with them as well, so we're all on the same track with each of the different classes and the different grades. Because I like doing it where at least we're still on track, because there was so many classes, it made it easier where we were kind of most of the time on the same thing. So if someone was writing essays, more than likely the other classes were doing the same thing, so it wasn't confusing for me. So what happened was I came back and I was like, okay guys, we're going to be watching this video. I want you to take notes because tomorrow we're going to discuss it. And normally I will say I watch every single video. I don't even care if it's like friggin' video about worms. I will watch the video before I show the kids. But because the other teacher watched it, and you know, she's a Christian, so I'm thinking, you know, everything's cool, like she's already watched it, I don't need to watch it. You know, she explained it to me and showed me exactly what it was, and that's what I'm like, okay, it's cool because she's already seen it. Sorry, I had to look it up. It wasn't Sean Bell, it was Rob Bell, and it's Everything is Spiritual. And it was an hour and 55-minute video, and I have the screenshot. I'm going to show you exactly the picture of her phone. So, and the picture that I took from her phone. So basically I'm thinking, you know, she's already seen it, everything's cool, it's fine. So I put on the video and I sit down to start grading my papers while they were watching the video. And so I'm sitting there and absentmindedly, like I'm hearing it while I'm grading. And I'm just like, this is a little weird because it started off where he was talking about like the Super Bowl. And so I'm thinking, okay, it's going to be a little funny for the guys, you know. So he's talking about the Super Bowl. And then he was talking about Katy Perry, because I guess when he created this video, that's when the Katy Perry, you know, she did the Super Bowl thing. And then he said something, and then he said the word ass. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like as soon as he said it, I looked up, and all the students looked at me. And I'm like, don't worry guys. I'm like, he's a Christian. And that's the first thing I said. I was like, don't worry guys, he's a Christian. And I'm like, but I don't know why he said that. So as soon as that happened, I was just like, I was done grading. I was just like, uh-oh, this doesn't sound good. But I didn't turn it off because I'm still like, you know, she's watched it, everything's okay. But I was still like on pins and needles because I was kind of like waiting for the next thing to happen. And so after that had happened, he went on to talk about like creation and things like that, and he's talking about how like the world had began with monkeys and all this stuff, and he's going on, and I'm like, this doesn't really sound like creation to me. I'm like, this really sounds like evolution. But I'm like, maybe he's just starting it off that way and then reversing it or something and then popping up God somewhere. So I'm still like listening and listening. And then he's like, and he said some type of long biological word. He's like, and 1600 years ago or something like that. And then he goes, and I really like that word. You know why I like that word? He's like, because it's got the word sex in it. And I swear to you, as soon as that happened, I was like tripping over my own feet to get to the TV because I was just like, I have to turn this off. I was so embarrassed. Like I literally was like pulling cords and flipping across the desk trying to get to the TV. And then finally it's like off. And I look at my students and they're all looking at me. And I'm like, okay, who wants to watch Zootopia? Like as soon as that happened, like I told them, like I was like, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. So I literally told them, I'm like, another teacher told me this. I did not know it was like this. You know, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Like, I was just like, this is it. I might as well get a box because obviously I'm going to be fired today. I'm over here teaching evolution in a Christian school. Like, who does that? And so they were all like, it's okay. Literally, half of them were laughing. And the crazy thing about it is one of the students was actually like the principal's daughter. And I was just like, this is it. Like, crucify me now, God, because I'm obviously out of a job. So I put on Zootopia for them. And then as soon as it was over, they had left. And when they had left, I ran over to the other teacher's room. And I was just like, do you know that I just showed them the Sean Bell video? And she's like, oh, how did they like it? And I'm like, I think I was showing them evolution. And I'm like, and it cursed. And she was just like, oh no, you showed them the wrong video. And I'm like, what do you mean? This is a video, you know, the #1 video up there. Like, I showed them the video, you showed me and showed them. And she's like, no, there's 2 videos. I should have told you. She's like, one of the videos is the first video he made. She goes, and then the second video, the first video he made when he was a Christian. And then the second video he made when he decided to like denounce Christ and become an atheist. So I was basically showing them an evolution video. And of course, like when you see like a list of YouTube videos, you're not going to go and pick the second video. I automatically pick the top one because I'm thinking that's the one that has more views, first of all. And then it's also like right there as number one. So I'm thinking that's the one that, you know, is the one. I'm not thinking of showing any other one but the very first one. And it was just so embarrassing because I knew it wasn't just that class. It was also 12th and 10th. And then there was a substitute. So I automatically ran to the to the 12th graders. And I was like, guys, there's a video that I showed you today. I was like, what happened when you guys watched it? And they were like, yeah, we were wondering about that video. They were like, we were watching the video the whole time, and every time something would happen, we'd look at the substitute, and the substitute would be like, but they watched the entire video. Well, not entire. They watched like a 50-minute video, the whole 50 minutes. And I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, the substitute didn't even turn it off. And she was like, they were like, no, she watched the whole thing with us. And I'm just like, oh, it's like, it was so embarrassing. The same thing happened for 10th as well. And I went to them and I apologized, and I'm like, this substitute must think I'm crazy. Here I am watching a video that's cursing and talking about evolution at a Christian school. So I never spoke to the substitute or anything because when I was leaving, she was coming in. She never mentioned it to me, so I wasn't really thinking like, you know, anything had happened. And then it was so embarrassing, but I made sure like I apologized to every single one of those students, and they were all like, it's okay, you know. And of course one of them was joking around with me, and they're like, I'm converted now because of you, I'm an atheist, you know. And I'm just like, oh my God, my life. But yeah, so that was so embarrassing. And I even at the very end of the day, I even went to the principal and let her know what had happened, like the head of the high school. I let her know what happened, and she kind of laughed it off, and she's like, well, you know, it just, these things happen, blah blah blah. But I was just like, I know that was probably one of the most embarrassing things I ever have to go through, at least for 2016. I believe it was 2016. So that's just one of my 2 embarrassing stories for this first year of teaching. The second one actually happened last week. It was raining, and because it's raining, usually if it's in the winter, I'll usually wear like my boots, my rain boots. But they're more of like winter rain boots, and it was raining and it was still warm out, so I decided to run and put on my sneakers. And I was already late, like I was on time, but I was still like late in the time that I usually leave. So I just ran and grabbed my sneakers, put them on, and ran out the door. And so I'm teaching, I'm in school, I'm literally in the building teaching. It's around 10:30. And one of my students goes, excuse me, Miss Cook. And I'm like, yes. And they're like, why are both of your sneakers 2 different sneakers? And I'm like, what? And I look down, and literally, like, I have 3, well, basically 3 different sets of blue sneakers, but one has a little more silver and blue, one is more blue and white, and one is just more blue. So I just had one that was silver and blue and white and blue, and they're both Nikes, but they were 2 different blue sneakers, like different. And so I looked down and I'm like, are you serious? So I tried to play it off, and I'm like, oh. You know why? I said, because my daughter actually had Wacky Wednesday today, because I think it was Wednesday, and I was like, my daughter had Wacky Wednesday today, and she had to wear a mismatched outfit to school, and so I decided to do the same thing. I said, isn't that funny? And all the kids were like, oh, that's so cool. And I'm like, yeah, would you guys all like to have it where we come in wearing matching shoes one day? And they're like, yeah, let's do that. So they all like thought it was something that I purposely did. And inside I was just like, I wanted to run out to my car because I had shoes in my car, like flats, but I'm like, you know what, at the end of the day, it is already 10:30. I am in my classroom. I am not running out to my car to switch my sneakers. And we had an assembly that day too, but I was just like, you know what, it is what it is. I am wearing these, and I'm just gonna wear them, and I don't really care. So you can definitely say that was so embarrassing. I cannot believe that I did that. Even looking back on both of those, like, you just have to laugh at things sometimes, and that is definitely something that I look back at and laugh. But I'm gonna make a video all about that for you guys and just explaining more about my entire year of teaching. And I'll probably have that up really soon for you, so you can, if you have any questions about a first year teaching, or if you're interested in knowing more about student teaching or anything like that, definitely write it down below in the comments, because I can help to put them into my teaching first year experience video. And yeah, that's basically it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know if you'd like to see more story times. Thanks guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. 'Cause I can into things that I'm gonna do. Wow, wow, wow. Wow.